My name is Olivia, and I thought I understood motherhood until my son, James, said something that nearly broke me. It all started on a rainy Friday evening. The sky outside was gray and restless, and the soft patter of rain against the window felt like it matched the heaviness in my heart. My mother-in-law, Margaret, was staying with us while my husband, Adam, was away on a business trip in Europe. Margaret had always been supportive, but James seemed to gravitate toward her more than me lately. I'd been noticing the small moments, how he listened to her advice more than mine, how he laughed more freely with her. I try not to let it bother me, but it was like a quiet ache in my chest that grew every day. That night, I heard their voices rising in the living room. I walked in to find James pacing and Margaret sitting calmly. Before I could even ask what was wrong, James turned to me, eyes burning with frustration, and said, "I wish Grandma had raised me instead of you." My entire world seemed to freeze. Those words stabbed deeper than any argument we'd ever had. Margaret gasped softly, and I stood there, unable to move, feeling my heart break in real time. "James," I managed to say, but he was too caught up in his anger. "She understands me. You just want to control everything. Grandma actually listens to me," he shouted. Then he stormed off to his room, leaving me standing there in the silence that followed. Margaret looked at me, her face pale and apologetic. "Olivia, please, he didn't mean it," she whispered. But I didn't respond. I just went to my room, shut the door, and let the tears come. I cried so hard my entire body shook. All those years of staying up with him when he was sick, sacrificing promotions at work to be there for every game and recital, every moment of love and worry, it felt like it didn't matter to him at all. That night, I didn't sleep. Around 3 in the morning, I crept into his room. Seeing him curled up under his blanket, breathing softly, reminded me of when he was a little boy, clutching his favorite teddy bear. I sat on the edge of his bed and brushed the hair from his forehead, my tears soaking into the blanket. I wanted to wake him, to tell him how deeply he had hurt me, but I didn't. I just kissed his head and left quietly. The next morning, I moved through the kitchen like a ghost, barely aware of the cereal and coffee I set out. Margaret came in, her eyes filled with guilt. "I'm so sorry, Olivia," she said, her voice shaking. "I never wanted to come between you and James." I tried to force a smile. "It's not your fault. He's just figuring things out," I said, though it felt hollow. Then James appeared in the doorway. His hair was messy, and his eyes were red, as if he'd been crying. He shifted from foot to foot, looking like a lost child. "Mom, can we talk?" he asked softly. I nodded, and we went to the living room. He sat down, staring at his hands.
Mom,
"I'm really sorry for what I said last night," he started, his voice breaking. "I was mad, and I didn't mean it. Grandma talked to me, and she made me realize how wrong I was." Tears welled up in my eyes again, but this time they were mixed with relief. "James, you really hurt me," I whispered. He looked up at me, his face full of regret. "I know, Mom. I thought you were just being strict to control me, but Grandma told me about all the things you've done for me. I didn't see it before." I reached out and took his hand. "Everything I've done, I did because I love you. I wanted to protect you and help you grow into the best version of yourself." In that moment, he threw his arms around me, holding on so tight it felt like he was trying to glue us back together. "I don't really wish Grandma raised me. I was just angry. You're my mom. I don't want anyone else," he whispered into my hair. I held him, feeling his tears soak my shoulder. "Thank you for saying that," I murmured. After that, he started spending more time with me. We cooked breakfast together that morning, pancakes that turned out lumpy and half-burnt, but they were the best pancakes I'd ever tasted. He hovered near me all day, helping with chores, chatting about school, asking questions he'd never bothered to ask before. Over the next few weeks, our relationship shifted. He started opening up to me, sharing things about his friends, his dreams, even his fears. We watched movies together on Friday nights, and he didn't roll his eyes when I cried during the sad parts. One evening, he knocked on my bedroom door. I was folding laundry, and he stepped inside awkwardly. "Mom, can I ask you something?" he said. "Of course," I replied, sitting on the edge of the bed. How did you do it all those years? When Dad was gone, when I was being difficult, how did you not give up? He asked, his voice soft and searching. I looked at him, my heart swelling with love. I didn't give up because I love you more than anything. You're my reason. Even on the hardest days, you were the light that kept me going. He didn't say anything at first, just nodded and pulled me into a tight hug. Thank you for not giving up on me, he whispered. That summer, he signed up for an art competition. He worked on a painting for weeks in his room, refusing to let me see it. When the day of the exhibition came, he unveiled a piece titled Mother's Hands. It showed a pair of hands cradling a small, fragile bird, the strokes soft but strong. When they called his name for first place, he stepped up to the microphone and said, I dedicate this to my mom. I didn't always understand her, but I know now that everything she did was to protect me. Her hands carried me even when I didn't realize it. Standing there in the crowd, I felt my knees go weak. Margaret squeezed my arm, her eyes filled with tears. After the ceremony, James came running to me, throwing his arms around me. I love you, Mom, he said fiercely. Driving home that night, he looked out the window and then turned to me. I really regret what I said that night, he said quietly. I think about it all the time. I reached over and squeezed his hand. I forgave you the moment you came back to me, I said. He smiled, and for a moment, he looked just like the little boy who used to run to me with scraped knees, asking for a kiss to make it better. A few days later, I found a note on my pillow in his messy handwriting. It said, Mom, thank you for always being there. I'm sorry for everything. I love you more than I can say. James. I tucked that note into my nightstand, a precious reminder of how far we had come. Our home felt different after that, warmer, closer. We argued less, laughed more. We went on hikes, cooked terrible dinners together, and stayed up late talking about everything and nothing. Looking back now, I realize that moment, those terrible words he said, became a turning point for us. They hurt me more deeply than anything else ever had, but they also opened the door for a new kind of love between us. He thought he wanted someone else to raise him, but in the end, he saw me, truly saw me for the first time.
And he chose me.
That is the greatest gift a mother could ever ask for.